guys? We're here with another Beastcoast FGC video. I'm joined by the homie YungWaff, ApologyMan, and
That's
Dragon.
good.
What's up, guys? Thank y'all for joining us today. So we have a pretty interesting discussion today. So as you guys all know, the FGC, it's a group of like a sub community, across each title. Every franchise has like their own little ecosystem of like events doing their own thing. There is some crossover from games to games, of course, but they're kind of all like in their own little small little bubbles, and that expands not only with the consoles they play on, but the controller methods they play on, and like basically like just like what's allowed and what's not, and like we're all from different sub communities here. I've dabbled in a little bit of like each of them, but like you guys are the experts, so I just want to ask you guys some questions about controllers you use and stuff like that. Like, I guess I'll start. I'll guess since I have like the least experience with Smash. Like, I'll start with YungWaff and stuff. Just educate me. Can you educate me a little bit, like about the controller methods you guys use and why?
Some things like obviously before some melee god is in here that helms me. Like I don't know everything. There's a lot I don't know.
All good. It's all good.
I can just tell you from just I guess anecdotal experience and just from what I've seen throughout the community. There's been a lot of things that we've done to fix like aspects of our controller. A lot of our controllers. I guess I could start with UCF. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's called Universal Controller Fix. Yeah, so basically there's this method in Melee where it's called shield dropping. So if I'm on a platform, right, and I'm hovering over it, I can shield and then I can like drop off the platform and do a move. I think Sheik's forward air is probably like the best example of that. Right, so it's really good, right? So if say you're on a platform and then I hit you, you can just shield drop and hit me immediately. It's like a quick reversal.
Like
you can follow up off it.
That sounds like some sexy movement.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's hella fast too. So a lot of those like inputs are like dependent on like the certain value or gates, like melee gods, correct me, on your notch. So if you don't have like the proper notch, you can't do it. There's also a thing called or it's just like dash back, right? And I mean, it's not like Street Fighter where you have like invisible, or Street Fighter 4 we have like invisible dash back or something, but it's more like you get the dash the moment the input is made, and a lot of controllers don't have that.
Oh yes,
so,
yes.
Right. So with these two things, to have these on your controller, both of them, it's a literal controller lottery. You would have to buy a bunch of controllers.
It's like Silicon Lottery, just like GPU.
Right.
This is so interesting. I'm so glad I started with you.
Yeah, so you basically you have a lottery on where if it happens, some will have the shield drop notch, some will have dash back, some won't have either. Most won't have either. But some might feel too stiff, some might feel too loose. Depends on who you are, what character you use and stuff. But basically, what Universal like UCF, it creates it to where it is programmed into the game, where you don't need a lottery anymore. You can pick the most rugged controller and shield drop,
and they'll all have the same standardized.
Right, they get all dash back, and they all because it's in the game now. But we had to do that like because. At first, people like they had Arduinos, which is like another like extension of that. So there was that.
People use Arduino controllers for like USB devices for arcade games. So I understand.
Right.
Yeah, go on.
Right, and like I guess with that's like that was the tipping point, or like to make the playing field even for everybody, because there were some people who had like I told you about the notch controller, so you had to like physically notch your controller.
Yes.
Or some people do soldering, all kind of crazy stuff. I don't really know the controller game like that, but basically it was to where only certain people who had these fixes can do these things.
Getting the benefits.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, wow, like you really educated me so much. I think like out of all the sub communities, Melee has like the most diverse like controller culture for sure. And like ApologyMan, doesn't it sound like a lot like how like in Marvel 3, how they added SOCD protection to like Marvel 3 for the inputs for hitbox users and stuff like that?
Yeah, I remember they added that because you could block in both directions, like in like vanilla. That was a funny glitch. But yeah, they definitely had to add SOCD because there's some pretty cheap stuff you can do, and I think UCF has also been like treading the line of like what is like too much that we can actually put on like in terms of limitations to put on our controller. To like let us play the game fairly, air quotes, whatever that means. I think UCF is like a really good solution. It's very reasonable. There's like different polling rates in Melee, which like give you like weird like dashing back is like like just literally dashing backwards is inconsistent. That's ridiculous, right? So I do like that the not the developers and
well, that's what I'm saying. That's the interesting part. It's like the developers.
Definitely not the developers.
Like
yeah,
it's so insane. Wow. Yo,
I think it's
like,
a good solution for sure.
That is a good solution for sure. And then like Dragon, like MK doesn't have anything like that at all. I don't know. I mean, I know it's pad culture, but like what's up?
Yeah, no, honestly, not really. It's funny hearing WAF and ApologyMan talk about this kind of stuff because in NRS games, really no one really talks about different kinds of controllers. Most people are pad players. There's usually only one or two players in the scene at any given time who are using something different, like either a hitbox or a fight stick. Right now, the only player who doesn't use a pad that I know of is Biohazard, and he's literally the only one. Everyone else just uses a standard, regular, like PS4 DualShock controller.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
Thanks for life.
Right, and it makes sense because MK doesn't really have a lot of fancy special inputs, at least now. You don't have many instant air moves, and if you do, they're not as, I guess, prominent as they were in previous NRS games. So it's like you don't have like crazy DP inputs. You really just have like quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, maybe like back forward. Like you really don't have any crazy inputs or anything you need to I guess like have better movement on. Pad just does the job for you pretty.
Dude, I remember in MK9, who was the Cabal player that used hitbox? That was. I feel like there isn't anything like that anymore.
Yeah,
but I remember.
So it was Trophy Club. And he used hitbox, and he was from Vegas, and he used hitbox. He used to do instant gas blast all day. Stop.
Yo, I don't know any of you. I mean, aside from Beneath, Dragon. I don't know where you're from, or I know you're from NY. I feel like with Vegas, if you go, I don't know if you've been to a Vegas local for any tournament. I swear they're just hitboxed out. They're all smash box,
sure.
hitbox. Shout out to Vegas. That's just one random thing I had to point out.
Yeah, no, that's where it started actually. Dustin, the creator of Hitbox, is actually from Vegas, so he started like his Hitbox propaganda. Like that's the focal point, and it kind of just spread from there. But yeah, that is the big thing I remember in the Vegas scene, the Marvel 3 days. Hitbox was really picking up for Marvel 3 players for the Vegas scene.
Sure.
And now it's much more widespread.
Yeah, for sure. And to be clear, like what Beneath was talking about with the SOCD protection, basically, if you're using a keyboard, you can press up and down, right? And the game itself, weird things will happen, right? Because you can't really do that on a pad, right? So you have to add in things like SOCD protection. It protects you from doing multiple inputs at once to basically break the game. What Dragon said made a lot of sense because like MK, like it's really simplified inputs. It's like there's no real reason to use a stick. I can speak on experience from past NRS titles. Like I'm a stick user. They add settings like standard and advanced, and the only difference is it's like it makes the down forward input a quarter circle forward input, right? For whatever reason, but it's not really necessary. So it's like you don't really need crazy mod.
Yeah, there is that option of in NRS games where you can change it to that, where instead of like, let's say you have a down forward move, you can make it so you have to do like a full quarter circle. You have to do down plus forward and then forward in order to get the move out. Just if you want to be more precise, but no one really uses that.
Yeah, nobody really uses it.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I definitely remember that from my Injustice 1 and MKX testing days. Shout out to another round, by the way. Love you guys forever. but yeah, like it seems like so far, so it's like melee, pad, and like people have like Smashbox and like hitbox equivalents. Dragon, like mentioned, mostly pad, and like so more on to traditional 2D fighting games. So like Apology, like what do you think? I mean, obviously, like I dabble in anime. There's like a mix of like everything, to be honest. I think, but what do you think? Like since like you're currently balls deep in the mix.
Yeah, for sure. I think when it comes to controllers nowadays, I would say it's actually pretty pad heavy for most anime games nowadays. I can't lie to you. Like the last I think the last time I really went to a major and I felt like the main controller was stick was I feel like in like 2016 or 2017. It's really changing. Honestly.
Do you think it's because like anime FGC has a legacy? Do you think now it's because of the newer crowd and they're all playing pad or what? Or is it actually?
Yeah. So I can speak for DBFZ specifically. A lot of players play that game on pad. Actually,
I think DBFZ is like a lot of people's first serious game.
Yeah, it is. It got a lot of people into fighting games. Actually, just with the.
So interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, man.
Yeah, for sure. But it's rough out here for stick players, man. The games are changing to the point where stick isn't really like an advantage. I think that's cool, like the accessibility. Like I'm all for that. There's button macros like that are like when you set your buttons. Like the hard thing would be hitting multiple buttons at the same time on a pad. So what the developers have like done, it's like pretty standard nowadays, is to have like if I want to hit a throw, like I don't have to like use my big thumb and like hit like light medium at the same time. You can like hit a throw button if you want to do that, or if there's a 3-button combination, you can just assign it to a trigger. So there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to controllers nowadays than back then. But yeah, man, like you don't need a stick, like honestly, anymore.
Yeah, there really is. Like, so I guess I'll speak about my community. So even my community, it's similar to what Beneath just mentioned. There's a lot of new generation of players that like play on pad, and like for Street Fighter, the game has built-in macros. There's like built-in V skill throw, 3-punch, 3-kick macro, so you don't really need it. But there still are some of the stick users. I'm actually sitting here with my Victrix Pro FS controller.
Let's go.
I personally like it because it's the lowest latency commercial controller, to my understanding, on the market. So it definitely helps with my inputs. And even though I'm on stick now, now with the new games, macros are accepted. So that means sticks can use macros. So stick users also get benefit from macros as well, right?
Yeah,
but then these days it's kind of like the minority. I feel like stick users are definitely in the minority, but it's interesting. I think this parallels like a bit over to melee because YungWaff was talking about all the crazy controller modifications that you guys can do. But even though like there's not anything like that in pad culture for FGC, for sticks you can do like a lot of modifications to kind of rice rocket it up, I guess. Things like making the stick like tighter, having like better micro micro switch buttons and stuff. The PCB you actually have in your controller matters.
Yeah,
is that the same thing? That's what's going on in melee, YungWaff, you think? Or is that, I know it's a little different.
Nah,
I don't know.
So I don't. It's funny because you guys brought up macros. I think melee is the one, at least to my knowledge, I feel like it'd be widely unaccepted for a macro. Like if I could just press a button and shine at a shield, that's a no-go. That is super no-go in melee.
I don't like macros. I only use it because it's legal. I don't like macros.
Like, bro, if you could just like macro shine at a shield, bro, the game would be. Yeah, I guess it would depend on what move you do, but I think it's one thing when you do like UCF and like shield drops and what's the thing for dash back, because those are things that inherently are just like hard to do, that like you actually just can't do without the UCF on there. But
yeah, that's so interesting. It's like like the community came to a consensus and like basically like updated the inputs to make it more accessible. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. Yeah. So anybody on any controller, like, and you don't have to either, because some of these controllers, man, the controller market for melee, I don't know if you guys see it. Sometimes it'd be $200, $300 for a controller.
That's what I was asking. So that's what I was saying. People are rice rocking their controllers. This controller itself was like almost like 300 something. So I get it. I get it.
Right,
But
right.
like, so it seems like you guys doing the same thing, but for pads. So that's so interesting to me. I didn't think there was a
but
controller culture like that.
The only okay, so I don't know. See, it's this what sucks about not knowing the ins and outs. So I need a controller god to help me. But I'm pretty sure for y'all's games, all your inputs are digital, right? Like,
Yes.
everything's digital. Like if I dash Street Fighter.
Well, I'm saying people can use the analog controller. Do anybody use the analog controller in any of the games, guys? ApologyMan, Dragon. Does anybody use analog?
Some pad players actually just use the analog control stick for playing. It's pretty rare, but some people do.
Yeah,
for stick users, it's all digital. Like for the most part.
Yeah, it's all digital. It is.
I know one or two players who uses analog, but
Did you ever ask them why?
Huh?
Did you ever ask them why? Like, what's their reasoning?
They just said because it was the first thing that they.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, like they use that in other games, like when they were playing like story mode games or something. So then when they went to fighting games, they just kept using.
That makes so much sense, bro. Like, it makes so much sense. I'm learning so much.
I used analog for the first when I first started playing fighting games. I used analog for the first like 4 months, 5 months.
Y'all crazy.
Let's go.
Yeah, I actually don't know how I used it. It's so ugly. I don't know how I ever did that.
Let's go. Yeah, dude. Like Melee, it's weird because like we don't have like that. The only thing you can make digital is if you get a box or like a Smash box or a frame one or something like that. And then a lot of people, like, obviously, I mean, you be seeing on YouTube, Twitter, everything. Like, there's a debate about digital and analog. That's always in Melee in particular, just because a lot of I guess like there's the debate that digital inputs are easier, but then at the same time, like the people on boxes and frame one's argument is that like the analog, you can notch a situation to like in any like what's it called at any angle, and like a box can't do that, or a Smash box can't do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you trying to explain it to the best of your ability, because this definitely sounds like in depth, and like I wouldn't, even players that are top of the game, I wouldn't expect them to know in detail like about the input methods and exactly how everything is understood. Only that I can only ask them like about what setup they use and what works for them.
Right. I'm like learning. I don't like I said, there's a lot I'm new to. I know there's shouts to Gumi. There's this thing called the YungWaff that's supposed to come out to where you can basically have a controller that's normal, but it like, damn, I wish I could explain. It's Gumi. I'm sorry if I.
It's okay. No.
It's basically like I think it's a program or something you could use to program your controller as if it were physically notched.
Oh,
it's digital. Yeah. So that way you don't have to like physically notch and solder and do all that shit.
See, like, it gets so crazy.
Yeah, but then I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that.
It's
but
okay, bro.
At least that's the idea I got.
This is gonna give everybody like a good topic to Google. Now people are gonna start like,
right?
Now people are gonna start looking at different control methods and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like an Arduino it needs, but it's something like I think it's just a program for the general layout. I don't think you can remap buttons or nothing. But
it's for the interface layer, like
on UCF or something. You just like pop it in there, maybe.
So there's an example of this with digital. There's an example of this with digital joysticks. Like I believe Paradise Arcade Shop had something where it's like a digital controller. It was like a digital Sanwa joystick. So like these basically have micro switches. These are all analog. But there's a digital version of it where you can basically program the entire throw to go a specific way, and you can tweak it and see the inputs in your game until you get something that you're consistent with. So it's basically good for like I think it's good for shooting games, because like you want to be very sensitive to dodge all those bullets. Maybe some people use it for fighting games.
I guess a question I want to ask you guys, if y'all don't mind, like where for you guys as communities in particular, like I said, like the macro thing in Melee just would not. It's just a no-go. Wait, what is that line where there's just a clearly like, nah, we're not doing this for you guys as titles?
So right now the line is, I think, being found out. The the new controller that came out recently is the cross up, and it
Cross
has
is the line.
yeah. Right now, so I don't even think that's the line. I don't think we're at the line yet, personally.
Oh, okay,
So
for sure.
the dual,
So it inputs like a series of inputs or something for one button.
It's
Yeah,
dual
yeah.
input, right? So the basically the idea of it and why it exists and how it's legal is it does exactly what a DS4 can do, like the DualShock, which it has two forms of controller input, digital and analog, you know, the control stick and the D-pad. But it lays out the buttons in a different way for stick users to be able to use two forms of directional input. So you can do multiple directional inputs. You can go like left, right. Like I can go left on the stick, hit an up button. Like there's a lot of things that are very strong that you can do with it. But those rules right now, I think they're pretty fresh. Like Evo just like they kind of changed their rules. I think like in 2019, I want to say for how dual input is allowed and like how SOCD is. So, for example, there was like a controversy a while ago with a player named Full Schedule. He was a Marvel player.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
he had a stick that would let you have. It had a up forward and an up back button. So it would be like a diagonal. So it'd be two inputs, and that wasn't allowed before. But now you can. So the Full Schedule stick is now okay. The old Full Schedule stick, not the new one. Yeah, so that's weird. There's a lot you could do.
It's a brave new, it's a brave new world.
They're coming.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Damn, what?
Yeah, it's basically,
I'm scared.
Why
yeah,
do
for
they
sure.
what
It's
is
basically
that?
a brave new world.
Why did they make it illegal? Now it's legal. That's what I don't get.
Well, like now the games
What
are updating their input detections to start to account for these.
Yeah, they're
That's
making
why-
it. They're putting the
that's why
onus on the
Marvel 3
developers.
That's why Marvel 3 was like the first one. It was kind of like the guinea pig for all of this. Because I
Okay.
believe before then, none of the games had the SOCD protection that we keep referring to.
For
Where it's like
sure,
you
for
press up
sure.
and down. But people have always known since like the dawn of time, since emulators, that like keyboard definitely has advantages. So that's why the hitbox exists. It was known
Right,
for a long
right.
time, even before like it blew up. Just hitbox,
Right.
you know, shouts to them. They made a commercialized version of it. But but yeah, wow, that's a conversation definitely blew me away. I guess one more question before we wrap it up is that Dragon like I want to leave you? I don't want to leave you out, brother. I guess my last question is, since obviously most of the people are like pad culture, and you know like most of the tournaments are on PlayStation and stuff like that. Do you see any alternate controllers at all, even with pads? Or is everybody just stock DS4?
Yeah. Most people just use DS4. I mean, you got some people who use Xbox One controller if they're more comfortable with it, and they use the converter.
I was gonna ask, like, you know, obviously MK11's on PC and the player base is separate from yes, so like any of those guys come over and you just mentioned somebody does use Xbox One controller. So yeah, does exist.
Yeah, definitely exists. And actually, to the last question, when people were talking about macros, it's funny how simple MK inputs are. Like if that was a thing in MK, it actually like wouldn't even make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so either. I agree with you.
Yeah, like it actually wouldn't do anything. It would be like, okay, cool. You know, it'd be like whatever if you want to use it. Yeah, I do know, this is kind of funny. I do know a player from Canada. I forget what his name though was, and he went to an MK tournament one time, and he came with a keyboard.
Yeah, MK is great on keyboard. Actually.
Yeah, but it was just so surprising. Man, like had like most people have like their controller in their hands, you know, while they're walking around. Or like a stick while they're walking around. This man had a whole ass keyboard in his hand, walking around with it. Yeah.
yeah. I've seen that before.
So anytime he got to the center, he just plugged that bitch in. He had like a little mini like desk he could put on his lap, and then he was
just like typing away.
it was like typing a whole essay during a match.
Let's go.
I have a picture from like my local arcade, NYC Next Level. So we have Japanese cabinets downstairs, but the cool thing is we had the homie Jose Cruz hook it up where basically has what's called these undamped converters inside the arcade machine. So you can basically plug in your USB controller inside the arcade machine and play, right? So you don't need to play on stick. And like, homie brought like a keyboard setup, like how you're mentioning, and like a whole desk.
Yo, real quick, I have one more. I have one more question. I'm curious because
Hey,
I've
go
seen
ahead.
this happen in so many communities.
Yeah.
Melee. I've seen it happen in Street Fighter at Evo. When it comes to you guys' communities, like, is there something that you have like some type of pause prevention? Because like there's like in
Yes.
Melee they
Yes,
put a
yes.
thing in the game where if you press pause initially, it won't pause. You
Yes,
have to
yes.
hold it. And I
Yeah,
remember
right.
watching Street Fighter, the last Street Fighter 5
Yeah.
at Evo with the
So-
Momochi Gamer V.
So
Yeah.
Street Fighter,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you since you asked Street Fighter first. So Street Fighter does have a mode. We all forget to go to it, even in offline tournaments. But you can go to the options menu and you can
Right.
change the pause settings to either type A or type B. And type B means if you press start, it won't pause. You have to actually hold pause. I know
Okay.
MK has like a tournament mode that like disables pauses as well.
Right
Correct
on.
me, anything dragon.
There's an option for the same thing where you actually have to hold the pause button.
It's been
Oh,
that
that's
way.
fire.
It's been that way since Injustice 1 or MKX. I can't remember which, but yeah. Like,
It was one of those.
Yeah, it's one of those titles.
Because I've just
Yeah.
I've seen so many times where like I don't know in Dragon Ball I've seen it quite a bit, Vinny, so you might know like fucking I've played in Dragon Ball tournaments and I'll play and then I'm playing somebody else's DualShock is connected to the fucking
yeah.
PS4
Yeah, people
and
forget
they
to do
hit
controllers.
it and then it just pauses the whole game.
That's
People
it's
forget
just
to
that's just a PS4 problem.
Oh,
It's the most
okay.
annoying thing.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
it's like because it's Bluetooth devices and you have to like go into the menu and take it off. But for just pauses alone, a lot of games nowadays are doing hold to pause to get the full pause. Like my
sure.
stick, for example, like I have this thing.
We're using a Quamba 8 arc.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Any mods to your stick?
I have a little
besides the-
lock. So if I push the lock up, all my pausing and
Yeah,
like
correct. Yeah.
I can't.
That's a common thing.
They're unpressable. So
Oh, that's
that-
dope.
Yeah, it's
a lot
common
of
thing
sticks
on
have
stick.
that nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of sticks do have that. Is your stick modded at all, Vinny? With anything or no?
No, it's a
not?
stock obsidian. The buttons are red.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I'm using a stock Victrix like right now, but I also have one with the Brooks UFB. If anybody's a stick user, the Brook Universal Fighting Board is actually the lowest latency PCB for arcade sticks, and like it's compatible with multiple stuff. Yes, just throwing it out there.
I got the Razor Panthera on deck. That's all.
Razor Panthera is pretty good. I like the Razor Panthera a lot as well because like I like the build of the stick and the button layout is actually really important.
What's the latency difference between like a regular PS4 DualShock controller compared to something like that?
Right. That's a good
No,
question.
oh yeah, that is a good question. So I have researched it because actually like you can use DualShock 4 on like other consoles, other titles.
Right.
So in the retro gaming community, people found that people found out, and like I don't know because like the DS4 always updates its firmware and stuff. You know how they have controller updates and stuff.
Right.
Like in the past, they've discovered that actually plugging it in wired is actually more latency than having it wireless Bluetooth.
Oh really?
As a lower
Sounds backwards.
It sounds backwards. It sounds backwards. Yeah.
Wild.
It sounds backwards. So it's very PCB dependent. Actually, Dragon, since we're in the same chat, I'll just send you the latency list of controllers. You can look at it yourself.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
these things constantly get updated, and like there is different latency between all the controllers, but like it's in the margin. Depending on the PCB, it can be within a margin of like 1 to 2 frames actually. So yeah, it actually does make a difference. So having a good quality PCB is important.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's quite a lot actually.
Yeah, the problem is
that's definitely a difference.
Yeah, the problem is with stock control, especially DS4. There's no way to have like I don't think there's any way to put like a Brooks UFB in the DS4 controller, to my understanding. Because I would love to like have like a pad, but then have the benefits of having the lowest latency PCB for sticks.
Someone should make that.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. It feels like when you have all these different types of controllers, like even if there's like one more frame of lag on the controller you're using, I feel like that can be the difference of you like winning a tournament and losing a tournament.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy. Like you press a button and it could have come out 1 frame faster if you used this controller, and you would have actually won because of that. It's like, damn, that's crazy to think about, man.
Like I've been in the input latency hole for a minute. So like that's why like even though I don't know everything, I have been researching a lot, and like it's important to actually like keep researching and like don't assume you know everything.
Yeah.
We know like some things, but like as Vineeth and YungWaff have clearly shown, you know, it's kind of like a new frontier with this stuff.
Yeah,
man.
and it's just it gets like it just gets deeper too. Like you think, oh man, this is a lot. Then you learn it, and then there's like a whole ass another layer about like, you know, you just PCBs,
PCBs
and
PCBs and everything,
macros. It's just like, bro,
I love learning about it too, cause bro, I've been playing this stuff forever, you know. Like I've been playing since the arcade, so like I didn't know how it worked. Right. And then now, like these days, it's like now there's new. It went from just American style arcade bat tops. Even for MK, you know, everybody was playing arcade style, and like, you know, now it's been like 20, 30 years. Dragon's telling me everybody plays pad now. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
That's just like where the audience is going. But yo, guys, thank you guys. This is such an interesting conversation. You know, ApologyMan, Dragon, YungWaff. Thank y'all so much for your insight. That was, woof. Well, it's fun. I learned a lot.
It's cool learning about all you guys' games too, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just ignorant to a lot of stuff, so it's cool seeing everything.
Yeah,
especially like the MK with Dragon said about the macros, just like blew my mind.
Matter. Yeah,
it's just like no way that would happen in Melee.
If you play MK for like a day, if you play MK for a day, you automatically know the macros don't matter.
That shit just I was like, yo, if you had Melee macros. Nah, the game would be dead, dude. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun like hearing all you guys' perspectives for sure.
Definitely, likewise, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you guys like what you saw, make sure to like, subscribe, and all that noise. Let us know in the comments. This is YungArt. Thank you, ApologyMan. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, YungWaff. We out. Peace.
Peace, y'all.